Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Design, Create, Inspire. I'm Bryn Young, your resident architect here in San Diego. If this is your first time with me, hello. Make sure you subscribe and do all the things. I never say that. I never do that, but I hear everyone else doing that and I don't know, it felt right, but it feels really weird once I started saying it. Anyways, hi, let's talk about giving back. This is an exciting topic that always comes around this time of year as we go through Thanksgiving and what we're grateful for and all that good stuff. And this week, I think the most important thing that we can talk about is how we can give back. So I'm going to give you 3 tips as a professional or as an architect that you can give back. All right, let's get started. Okay, so giving back. This looks like 100 different things, right? This can be giving back money. This could be giving back time. This could be giving back anything. And the 3 things that I'm going to be talking about today are ways that you as a professional, design professional, or an architect can give back mainly in time, essentially. I mean, it could be money too, but I'm going to talk about ways to give back to students, to emerging professionals, and to your community. These are 3 really important areas that can use you as a design professional, use your experience and your expertise, and it can really create a lot of positivity in those areas. And as design professionals, yes, it's so easy to kind of just get in the day-to-day and put your head down and work and do all that stuff. But there's something really meaningful and empowering when you can start giving back to those who need it, essentially. So the first one I want to talk about is giving back to students. So if you are in an area, there maybe not, but likely a design school of some sort. And if there's not, that's okay too. We live in this era now where everything is online essentially, and you can give back. Maybe that looks like an Instagram account where you are sharing your knowledge or you are talking about your experience in the design profession that can help those students. So this also can be if you do have a local school, you can start getting involved with critiques. You know, those are so meaningful to students when they are there and they've put all this energy and time into these projects, and having design professionals, especially successful design professionals, having them come in and critique and review projects is super powerful and can be really meaningful for those students. I remember when I was a student, we had a pretty big architect come in and review one of our projects, and it was such a big deal. Like, we were all nervous about it. We were all gearing up. Oh, so-and-so is coming in. Make sure that like you're all set up and ready to go. And you know, it had to be real good and put together. And there was a sense of pride presenting to that professional. So if you're that professional in that world, giving back in maybe just a couple hours once a year, you know, to be there and be there to support those students, it's very meaningful, even if it doesn't really seem like it in the moment. It can leave a lasting imprint on those kids, and that's really cool. The other thing is guest lectures. So again, things are virtual these days, which is really nice. And so maybe that looks like a virtual guest lecture. But there are a lot of schools, especially where I'm at in San Diego. There's some great architecture schools here that have lectures occasionally. So if you're a design professional, reach out to a school and see. I mean, even if you're young, even if you are not a firm owner, even if you work for a firm, you have something to say, and it would be helpful for those students to hear it. So reach out and see if there's a way that you can help and that you can support those students. So the second way I want to talk about is giving back to emerging professionals. Now, this is obviously a really big one with mentorship, because to become a licensed architect, you have to have a mentor. So typically this is someone you work with or work under, but it doesn't have to be necessarily. You can have a mentor who is there to really support you and kind of show you the ropes, because sometimes that's not done in a firm. So getting involved with mentorship to share your knowledge is really critical and important. Now, the way I do this is I share on YouTube, I share on my podcast, and I share on my Instagram a lot. And I have people reaching out to me, especially on Instagram, very often. And I take the time to talk to them and give them my advice and listen to them. So if there's a common question that I find comes up a lot, I'll make an episode about it. And it's so meaningful to me to not just sit down and work with my clients and focus on one-on-one clients, but to focus on who's going to be carrying this profession next and answering questions and making it a little bit easier and maybe more approachable than when I was going through that process. So if you're an emerging professional, however that looks, if you're a design professional, however that looks, to reach out to emerging professionals, it can make a really big difference, just like it does in the students' lives, to help them and show them a little bit about what goes on in the real world. And, there's something to say about secrecy and what we share and all that. I think that traditionally architecture has come across as more secretive. Like, firm owners don't share what it looks like behind the curtains or whatever. But I think that that's changing, and there's a lot of power in sharing that and bringing up the next generation with knowledge that will make their firms better, which will make the architecture world better, which will increase the value of architects, which will increase our pay. So it's this snowball effect, essentially. And it can start with you as a design professional encouraging and inspiring those emerging professionals. All right, that third way that you can give back as a design professional is with your community. Now, this could look different depending on your community. For me, I am on the board of directors for the La Jolla Historical Society, and I am I don't want to say heavily, but I'm fairly involved with the AIA, with my local chapter. Now, I may be getting more involved with that here in the future, which is being discussed. I've been on some design committees and whatnot. And to me, that has provided a lot of value. I know that people have some good things, some bad things to say about AIA and the high cost of membership. And it totally depends on how you get involved with that organization. For me, it has been really valuable and created some really incredible connections. And I really love it. And I find a lot of value in the way that I get involved. But just like anything, it's kind of how much you involve yourself and how you take action. So taking action by getting involved with your community is such a great way to give back and also to receive value back from those community organizations. So with the La Jolla Historical Society as well, like I find a lot of value in learning and going and touring these really beautiful historical homes in La Jolla and learning about the process, and then also just trying to preserve some of La Jolla's history, which is where my grandma and my grandpa grew up and where my parents grew up and where I grew up. And that is really important to me. And I love being a part of that story and that history. When you give back and you start getting involved with your community and with emerging professionals and with students, you find that there's such a deeper meaning to this world of architecture. Because if you are just in the firm life and working with clients and working with the city and getting things permitted and dealing with the bureaucracy of the government and all that good stuff, you can burn out and you can maybe even lose that initial excitement and drive for why you got into architecture. And so putting yourself in these other volunteer giving back situations, it brings back that excitement. And you're like, oh yeah, I do remember why I loved this. And there's a joy to it that's just a little bit different and a little bit outside yourself. And it's really positive and amazing. So I'm going to keep this episode short this week. I hope that you can take one of these nuggets and implement it. And I want to know, how are you giving back in your industry? Are you, I don't know, you tell me. You can leave a comment here on YouTube. You can message me or write a comment on Instagram at BeYoungDesign. And I do want to hear from you. And I want to hear if you are involved with any of these type of situations. How has it given back to you? How has it created more value in your life? It has definitely created more value in my life, and I really like giving back in all these three different categories. So I hope that you can too, even if it's just one. Okay, I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will see you next week. Bye.